I planted a meth lab in my father's house after he tried to evict me and my mom out of our childhood home. Life had not exactly been easy for our family, ever, but we had made do every time. We took care of each other and were always there for each other to lean on. Our trials and tribulations were many, but we were preserved and always came out on the other side as a family. We've never been rich or even well off. My tale starts in the 80s, when both my mother and father's families had moved to the States from Cuba. They had left their home country to move to the States for a better future for themselves and their kids. They hadn't known each other before coming here, but had migrated in the span of a couple years. They had come to live in the same community and had met each other when they were in college. My mother was studying for an arts degree. She met my dad in her second year of college. After a sudden and brief courtship, they got married. My mother now regrets that. She also regrets that she dropped out of college in her third year when she got pregnant. Both my parents were living a state away from the family, and she had nobody to support her. Additionally, they had very little money saved up for their future unborn child. Hence, my mother started working at odd jobs to support herself and save up money for baby expenses. She always says that she should have seen the signs. My father, who was studying for a business degree, never had much interest in academics. He always dreamed of making it big, but wasn't willing to put in the hard work that would have gotten him everything in life. Shortly after my mom dropped out of college, he completed his degree. Afterward, he started looking for a job. He spent months and months looking for a job, but no avail. He had a lazy, indulgent attitude and would get fired from jobs he managed to land within a month. 9 months came and went, and my elder sister was born. My mother hoped that my dad would get his act straight then, but no luck. He was always blaming anyone and everyone for his inability to hold down a job, except himself. According to Mom, he had major anger issues and problems with figures of authority. My mom, the saint she was, decided to stick it out. 6 months after my sister was born, she was forced to go back to work. The money she had saved up only lasted till then, and my father was still unemployed. She told him that as long as he did not get a proper job that comfortably paid the bills, he would have to stay at home and parent, and that he had to look after my sister. Alas, he was bad at that too. He would often leave my sister alone for long periods of time and forget to feed her or change her diaper. He would just watch TV all day. My mother was still working double jobs just to pay the bills. She waitressed at a restaurant part-time and worked in a housekeeping at a nearby hotel in the evenings and early mornings. Life went by, and when my sister was 3, my mom got pregnant again. This time with me. This time she's had enough. She knew that she was in a tight spot, having gotten tired of waiting for my dad to accept any responsibility. She called my grandfather, who was my father's father. She told him everything. She said that his son was a loser who was nothing but a burden to her, and even with a college degree could not support his family. My grandfather, who was a staunch believer in responsibility and the duties of a man towards his children, invited my mother back to their home city. He told her that he would take her and care for her newborns while she was out making a living. Without telling my father, she packed up her stuff and moved back to my grandfather's. My father showed up a few days later with his bags, expecting that they would let him stay. My grandfather gave him an ultimatum. He said that if he got a job, he would let him move in until he could afford his own place. Chastened by his circumstances and my grandfather's words, he got a job. However, this time, he did not lose the job because of his irresponsible ways. He got a low-level job at a management company, and soon fell in love with an intern over there. Soon after, he started having an affair with her behind Mom's back. A year later, he left with his mistress and never looked back. A month after he left, my mom got divorce papers through the mail. She was devastated and did cry for weeks. She decided to get back on her feet after this with the support of my grandfather. She quit her waitressing job and went back to college. It was difficult to juggle college with the life of being a single parent. However, she managed to do it. 3 years later, she had a marketing degree. She soon got a job at a company and things started to look up for us. My grandfather and mother made sure to give us the best that they could afford. Me and my sister had good educations and never felt the lack of a father. When I was 15, my mother told me that Dad had an entirely different family now, with 3 children of his own. We never tried contacting him, happy with our life. Soon after, though, my grandfather, he got seriously ill. Years of hard work and no proper rest or vacation had caught up with him. He was diagnosed with gastric cancer and given a year to live. My mother, my sister, and I made sure it was the best year of Grandpa's life. We spent all the time we could with him and even went on a cross-country vacation once. In the final year of his life, he confessed that he missed his son and wanted to see him once more. We tried getting in contact with our father multiple times, but no luck. He never picked up our calls and blocked any number we tried to contact him with. My elder sister once tracked him down, went to his house to tell him about Grandpa's condition. He slammed the door in her face and told her that he was better off without us. He didn't want to see any of us, not even Grandpa. Grandpa was extremely saddened when he told him that our attempts to connect with Dad had gone in vain. He died soon after. Surrounded by his loved ones, we grieved his loss, saddened by his passing. We tried to adjust our life without him, but before that could happen, life dealt us another blow. One day, when Mom and I came home at lunchtime, we were surprised to find a strange car parked in our driveway. We went to the front porch where we could hear voices raised amongst inside, arguing. I recognized my sister's voice and ran inside, ready for a fight. I got to the living room to see that the man inside was none other than my dad. He smiled happily at me and my mom, and then he saw us and greeted us quite cheerfully. Surprised, we asked him why he was here after all this time. He said that he was glad to see us again and that he was sorry to hear of Grandpa's passing. He said we should have told him ourselves that Grandpa passed away. He hadn't found out till he got in the news through an old mutual acquaintance. My sister shouted angrily that he had no business coming here after all he's done, and that he should leave and none of us wanted him here. His friendly manner vanished and became quite hostile. He said that he was willing to be friendly and deal with the whole matter cordially, since we were his children after all. But our bad manners and attitudes was making it impossible. Taking out a sheaf of paper from his bag, he said that when Grandpa was alive, the house had belonged to him. But now that he was gone, the house was going to be passed down to his one and only offspring, which was Dad. In other words, the house we lived in all our lives now belonged to him, and he wanted to live in it now. Shocked, we just stood there not knowing what to say. He said that he decided to live here with his new family, and that us, Mom, and the kids needed to find somewhere else to stay. My mom, who had been standing silently, started crying, saying that this was Grandpa's home and he would have wanted us to have it. She said he couldn't do this and kicked her kids out, the only home we've ever known. Dad said he talked to a lawyer and that he was going to officially get the house transferred to his name. He further said that a home inspector man would be coming soon to see what condition the house was in and whether Dad would make a profit selling it or not. If that was the case, Dad said he and his new family would buy another house with the profits. He left the papers on our table and then left the house, laughing manically. Devastated, we did not know what to do next. Mom just started crying. She had faced so much to get here, and even with her job and the money she saved up, she could not afford to start fresh somewhere else. House prices have skyrocketed, and she could not afford a house like the one we lived in anywhere else. The next day, we took the papers Dad had left to a lawyer. He confirmed there was nothing we could do. Dad stood to legally inherit the house. After talking over the matter, we came to a conclusion. There was no way Dad was going to get our house, Grandpa's house. And this was the perfect opportunity to get revenge on him for all his selfish deeds and mistakes in the past. The next day, we called Dad and told him that we were ready to do everything peacefully. We were ready to move out and give the house up, since that's what Grandpa would have wanted. He was pleased and told us that he would be sending over a house inspector agent soon. We agreed, but asked for a time period of 2 months to get our affairs in order and find another place to move to. Pleased by our cooperation, he agreed. Next time, here comes the hard part. We still had a few contacts in our family who made a little money on the side by hustling street-level drugs. We got into contact with them and asked for all the stuff and equipment required to build a meth lab and maintain it. A time of 2 months was perfect to get everything sorted. Soon, the house inspection agent came by and looked at everything in detail. We showed every nook and cranny of the house, including the basement. Once he was satisfied, he left. The same day, we had the meth lab equipment delivered to our house at night. We started setting up a lab in the basement and added a few pots of marijuana just for the heck of it. Seriously, we had no idea what we were doing. It was quite risky, but we still did it because that's how mad I was. We got a new, sturdy door installed in the basement with a tough, new lock to make sure nobody could open the basement until we wanted them to. The rest of the 2 months we spent finding a suitable house to live temporarily. Luckily, family pulled through, again, and our distant aunts invited us to live with them for a couple of months. We moved in with them and told Dad everything was ready for him. Scarcely a week later, he had moved in with his other family. A few days later, we got a call from him, asking where the key to the basement was. We told him that since it was an old house, the door had been rusted shut, and we had unfortunately lost the key. He said he wanted to put some storage boxes in there and that he needed to get it open. We told him we would try looking for the key again. Now came the best part of our plan. The next week, we phoned the nearby police station from a burner phone, left an anonymous tip that somebody in Dad's house was growing meth in the lab in the basement. Then we went to our house and hid nearby, waiting for the police to show up. It took some time, but they soon drove to the house with their sirens blaring and knocked on the door. Dad opened the door, and we got a real kick from watching the astonished expression on his face when they told him why they were there. Thinking he had nothing to hide, he led them inside. We waited for a half an hour and were ecstatic to see both Dad and his wife being led out of the house in handcuffs. A Social Security officer pulled up to the house shortly after and took the kids with her. The illegal department confiscated all the equipment. The next day, we got a call from the police station asking us to come in and testify. When we got there, the police told us that Dad was saying we set his family up to get revenge, and that it was all our doing, the meth lab, the marijuana plant, everything. We, of course, feigned ignorance and told the police in great detail about how we've been harassed and forced to move out just so Dad could set up his illegal drug business in the home. Luckily, the police believed us and a quick trial. Dad was sentenced to prison for 8 years. His wife was sentenced to 8 years as well, as the prosecutor believed that both of them were equally involved in the business. Both of them got sued by their insurance companies and went bankrupt. Their 3 children, who we did feel sorry for, but not enough to come clean about the whole scenarios, regrettably went to live with their aunt and uncle in another state. Though, judging by the kind of parent Dad's been to us, we might even have done them a favor by getting rid of their parents for them. Since Grandpa's estate case was still open, and Dad had not legally been declared the inheritor yet, we were able to petition a local court to award us the home in the time Dad was in prison, citing our long history with the place and how we lived there for almost 2 decades. After a month or so, the judge ruled in our favor and allowed us to move back in. We got a few threatening phone calls from our dad from prison about how he was going to get out and take revenge on us for what he did. We recorded all the conversations for future use and went about moving our stuff back into our old home. We finally gotten our revenge on our deadbeat father. We knew that one day, after his 8 years of jail time were up, he would be back to fight for the house. But there was one thing that I learned from the whole ordeal. We could do anything as long as we stuck together as a family. As for our selfish dad, we would be waiting when he got out of jail and made sure that he was never going to take the home from us. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I think that jerk had everything that was coming to him, but I'm starting to question the validity of this story. Because number one, why would someone post this story? They're basically admitting that they set someone up. I know they used false identities and throwaway accounts, but it still seems like a huge risk for me. So let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think this story is fishy? What would you do about it if you were in this situation? Let me hear your thoughts. Our final story of the day. Am I the a-hole for going to my stepdaughter's birthday party instead of my bio son's? Let me know what you think about that. Drop your comments down below, subscribe to the channel, and here comes story number 2. I'm a 46-year-old male and I have 2 sons, 20-year-old Andy and 18-year-old Sam, from my previous marriage. I got divorced from their mother about 7 years ago and have been in my stepdaughter Emma's life for 6 years. I love her to death. I see her as my own child. Sam graduated back in June and was having a graduation party about a month later. But his party happened to be the same day as Emma's birthday party. She was really excited about her birthday and told me she wanted me to stay for the party. I said I'd try and I'd call my son about it. The day before their parties, I told Sam I would try and stop by, but he kept insisting I came for the full thing. I told him I'd try, but Emma's birthday party is on the same day, and my wife and I have been planning it for over a month now. He just said okay and hung up the phone. Fast forward to the day of both parties. My wife said I should go to Sam's party. I was planning on doing so, but Emma told me she really wanted me to stay. I didn't want her to be sad at her own party, so I agreed and told him I would just leave later. Emma's party was from 4 to 6 and Sam's was from 4:30 to 7:30. So I was thinking I had plenty of time. I live over an hour away from my son, so I was planning to leave early. Anyways, I was helping my wife with a lot of stuff, taking care of the kids and other things. By then, it's already 6 p.m. and I feel bad. I have so many things to help my wife with for cleaning up, and since I live over an hour away, I know I can't make it. I did go to his graduation, so I assumed just going the day after to see him would be fine. Boy, was I wrong. I call him after that and he practically goes insane, telling me he's extremely angry, saying I love Emma more than my biological child, and that I always forget about him. He then tells me he does not want me to come the next day and doesn't want to talk to me again. I haven't missed a lot of his events, so I feel like he's overreacting. I didn't go to his 18th birthday party because of a big meeting I had. And I get why he's mad about that, but this seems like an overreaction. I apologized to him, but it did not seem to work as he did not accept it. My ex-wife and wife said I should have gone and that I was being an idiot. My oldest son says I always choose Emma over him, which isn't true, and that I was being a horrible father. I do feel bad, but I lost track of time. He won't talk to me, and neither will my oldest son. Am I the a-hole, guys? Okay, guys, so for me, it was easy. I have to say, you are the a-hole. And a lot of people agreed with me, as this guy was voted a-hole in the comment section. One comment quoted the story and said, "My oldest son says I always choose Emma over him," which is untrue. And here's where the comment person replied, "I don't know, my guy. In this case, you absolutely did choose Emma over him. It doesn't help that you say at least twice that he's overreacting. Try to negate his feelings on the issue." Okay, guys, so drop your thoughts down below. Let me know. Is this guy as toxic as everyone in the comment section's making him seem? Let me know your opinion on it. That's all the stories I had for you today. It was a wild ride. These stories were insane today. Show some love for the channel and a little bit of love by smashing that like button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.